Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited to bring you this review on an old figure by Medicom. And this figure was gifted to me by my friend Jason on Facebook. So Jason, if you're watching, thank you so much. It's going to be a really interesting review because I've had nothing but good experiences with the Medicom figures. They always were really good quality. And we're just going to see how it turns out with this one. Batman Begins, my favourite film of all time. It's definitely my favourite Batsuit of all time. So really cool of Jason to think of me and send this along. I really appreciate it, man. This will be going in the collection. It's interesting because the head sculpt for this figure, we need to talk about that. I'm going to show you some stuff. It's really interesting. Also, there's literally no videos that I could find on YouTube of this figure being reviewed. There was one I found from about 13 years ago. It was only in like 360p or whatever back in those days, and it was the Batman Begins version because it was the Batman Begins box. This is the Dark Knight line. I used to have the Dark Knight figure from this line, and that was a really good piece. I still have parts of it, so we might take a look at the head sculpt from the Dark Knight figure. I used the boots from my Dark Knight Medicom figure on one of my Batmans over on the shelf. But again, thank you, Jason. This is awesome. And let's just take a look at the box here. I really like the artwork. Let me just zoom in a little bit here. Medicom toys and the Dark Knight. I think the figure came out in 2008, same year as the movie. Really love the image of the Batman Begins suit there. I'll just let you see the stickers. But yeah, I couldn't find any review on this figure, so I'm gonna try and be as thorough as possible. So it says Real Action Heroes Batman Original Suit. So that's what the front looks like. And on the back we have credits for everyone involved in making this figure, and it's always a good sign when you see that on the box artwork. You know, a company that's proud to show who's responsible for everything. It's got like a flap display, and on the inside there you get some images of the figure, and that stays shut thanks to the little Velcro tag there. Then you get the figure inside the box, some batarangs and just spare hands. But for a figure from 2008, it doesn't look too bad. The skin tone on the face part here looks better than it was on my Dark Knight version. I remember the Dark Knight figure, that was the one thing that was letting it down, was the not very convincing human flesh around the mouth area there, the only part that's showing that's human. But on this one, it definitely looks better to me. But let's get him out and we'll get this review started. But drop a like on it for me, folks, definitely with this one, because I want more people to see, you know, literally the only video on this figure that I could find on YouTube. And let's just show them the early days of the 1/6 Batman Dark Knight trilogy stuff. I mean, this is the beginnings of it. This was, you know, you had Takara Batman Begins, you had the Medicom stuff, and obviously Hot Toys started making them as well. But this was very near the beginning of it all. So a nice piece of Batman history in 1/6 scale. So drop a like on it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already, and make sure you follow me on Instagram at DeanKnight333. And if you can, just say a little thank you to Jason in the comments, because this review would not be happening if it wasn't for his amazing kindness. Thank you, Jason. This is so cool. Alright, and here he is out of the box on the desk, and he measures in at 11.5 inches, possibly slightly more than that, but I just measured him now and tried to get him as straight as I could, straight up. Came in at about 11.5 inches tall, so a little bit smaller than what we're used to these days. As is usually the case with the Medicom stuff, it's like my Medicom big chap up there on the shelf, incredibly accurate to the movie, but just, you know, way too short to be accurate to the figures around him. But I still choose to display that Medicom version of the big chap just because it's so, you know, as far as the sculpt and all the details, it's just absolutely spot on. Medicom, in my experience, have always done a good job when it comes to accuracy. So you get a couple of spare hands, well, a few spare hands, 2 relaxed hands, and one for holding on to the batarangs here, and he's got his 2 fists on here. Cape is very, very long, which I knew that going in. It's kind of a legendary cape, this one. It's just ridiculously long. Even if I get him standing on something quite tall, I think the cape will still trail around him. But that's different. It's nice. It's more dramatic. It's not movie accurate, but it is interesting. It's a big, big cape. Now, the interesting thing about the head sculpt is it's unlike any head sculpt I've ever come into contact with before, especially for a Batman figure. It's not so much a head sculpt where it's more of a full, like for us, like a life-size Trick or Treat Studios full head mask. Like a Michael Myers mask, the kind you pull over your whole head and it completely covers your head. That's what this is like, but in 1/6 scale. It's actually quite a soft, squishy, like a mask, basically. All of it, this whole thing is just a soft, rubbery. I'm trying to bend it to show you. You can see how I'm able to just press on it. There's a bit of a space between this kind of Batman mask and the actual hard head sculpt that's underneath. So you'd be looking at it stock thinking it's a bit narrow looking, but there's room in there for you to kind of fill it out. I'm thinking if I can get this off and kind of put some blue tack in there and then put it back on, I might be able to widen the head sculpt a bit, because when you do widen it, when you just press on it, I think it starts to look even more accurate. Yeah, I'm doing it there. That's not pressing and then pressing. Obviously, you press it on the neck as well and bring that out. See that? But then when you let go, it gets a bit narrow. And I remember that was the case with the Dark Knight version as well. I actually filled the Dark Knight head sculpt to widen that one too. Yeah, that's the side profile, but I have kind of tilted the head down as much as I can there, which you are able to do. You can kind of get him looking up and looking down. It's not too bad a side profile. I've seen worse. I'll just give you a look at the cape here. It's very long, like I said, even with the half of the Hot Toys Spider-Man 3 diorama base there. That's actually double the length really, but I'm using part of it to display another Batman figure at the moment. But even standing on that, the cape is trailing. It's just huge. I like it though. You know, it's a decent material, and I really am grateful to Jason, because I probably never would have seen this figure if it wasn't for him sending it my way. I just assumed it was, you know, such an old figure. Why bother even thinking about getting something like this when there's so many options now? And but honestly, I mean, I'm very impressed with what I'm seeing in front of me. I think it looks really, really good. Medicom always use a different kind of material to Hot Toys. This is more of a vinyl kind of situation rather than the soft dust magnet kind of rubber that Hot Toys were using around this time. They've improved it now with the latest batch from the latest release. As disappointing as that figure was, the actual batch 2 matte finish suit is very, very nice. But this one is amazing for the time. Doesn't seem to be attracting much dust. And I do like the materials they've chosen. Alright, I've managed to get him on the rotating base, but I had to double up the height of the old Hot Toys Spider-Man 3 diorama base here. And still the cape is slightly trailing. It's just a beautiful, big, long cape. Do what you want with it. But let's take a look at the figure as he turns. I love the suit. I mean, you know that. It's my favourite Batsuit, my favourite Batman movie, but I think Medicom have done a fantastic job with this. The way the light hits it, it looks really, you know, good, sturdy, tough material. And the gauntlets seem to be slightly darker than the rest of the suit, which is accurate. The cape's a really nice material, and it has that kind of silky inside in contrast to the outside. It's a different material. Belt is very nicely sculpted and painted. It looks very, very good. But yeah, this is the kind of more animal-like exterior, and then on the inside you got that more kind of silky bat wing. It's just huge. Look at that. Because of the length of the cape, yes, you can drape it around him and go for the more moody, gothic-y, dramatic, brooding Batman look, but unfortunately, because of the the thickness of the cape and the placement of the cape clips, it doesn't really look natural. You can't bring it around over the shoulders and around the chest the way you'd want to. It does this really awkward thing, so I wouldn't really recommend posing him like that, because it just doesn't look right. But there is certainly a lot of cape to work with. I've just raised the arms up so we can get a look at the body here, check out the proportions. I'll show him next to other Batman Begins figures, like the Takara figure that came out, I think a little bit before this one. It's about as much as I could get the arms to raise up and stay there. They will go up higher, but they kind of drop back down to this point. It is an old figure, so I wasn't even really expecting this much out of it. I love the way it looks. We'll just get a look at the back of the figure. Really good detail there. But it's interesting the way they put this together. It's not just one solid vinyl suit. I heard someone describe it as like a leather-like material. I don't think it's pleather, because it probably would have started to deteriorate by now, or show signs of it. I mean, you could say that about the butt area there. But that's like a separate kind of undersuit. And then the armor is kind of placed on top of it. I mean, you can see the way one of the armor platings, I've just noticed that's kind of sticking over the boot, so I'll fix that in a minute. You can see the way it's supposed to be there. But you can see that leather-like material underneath the armor that gives you the posability. There's his little phone on the back of his belt. It's a nice touch. I don't know if you get a grapnel gun. I have spare ones, but definitely wasn't one in the box, and there's no other videos on YouTube for me to check. But yeah, I don't think he came with one. I'm pretty sure the Medicom Dark Knight did. Interesting. Alright, so I, Sir Captain Wigglesworth, am going to try and wiggle off this mask type head sculpt. My mouth is very close to the microphone here, so I hope I'm not coming in too loud, but I just wanted you to see what I'm talking about. Super squishy. Very squishy. And yeah, underneath here, I'm going to just turn up the screen here so I can actually see what I'm filming. I can always edit out the faff. So underneath here, see, I'm able to, it's like a mask, and it's quite thin. The whole thing is, I'm able to press it and do what I want. Boing, boing. It's very soft, but really good likeness. And I think once I widen it, the whole thing, just a little bit, I think it's going to really come into its own. So I'm going to have to do this off camera. I don't want to break anything. I think I'll be okay to just literally just gradually get this off. Like you see in there. But yeah, let me just try and remove this and I'll come back. But you've got good movement. Alright, so I got the mask off, and that's what's underneath. Kind of small head sculpt there. I had more luck when I basically tried lifting it off from the back rather than trying to get it over his chin at the front. Basically working more from the back. side of things. There we go. Look at that, man. That is a really good head sculpt. That is fantastic. That's really good. Look at that. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that back on there with, you know, blue tack in the head as well. I think it'd be really tricky. It's probably doable, but I will fill the head with blue tack now, just to widen it some, and then we'll get a look. But that is really good. That is very, very impressive. I think so, anyway. Right, we'll do a little before and after. So this is before I've put any blue tack in the head, and I think it looks really, really impressive for the age. You can definitely see Bale in there. Alright, so now I'm going to widen it and we'll come back. Okay, and this is after I've stuffed the head full of blue tack. I could have put even more in and made it even wider, but I was worried I was going to push it too far, make it look silly. I might have already done that because I really did stuff it in there, but come on, we're better than that. Looks pretty good. And just get it from a few angles. So in order to put it back on the figure like this, all stuffed and wide, I would need to remove that head sculpt, because there is a separate neck. It's like, you know, the head is separate from the neck bit, so I should be able to get that head off, and then I can literally just press the head sculpt here onto the neck with the blue tack in there holding it secure. Yeah, I think it looks better stuffed. There's a side profile post stuffage. I just tilted the head forward. His eyes do seem to be looking up slightly, which is always cool for this particular version of Batman. Makes him look more mean. So it works, tilting the head forward. And you got the extra thickness. Whew, well, it took some elbow grease, but I managed to get that head sculpt off, which means we can put the stuffed head sculpt back on the neck. I may have to remove some of the stuffage, or I might just try and plonk it right on there and press it down good and firm. This is exciting because I think this is going to look pretty cool. Alright, so head is back on the body, and because the head slash mask of Batman's head here is so thin and squishy, as you're putting it back on the neck, once it's filled with blue tack, you've got to be careful not to distort the shape of the head because it is that thin. As you're pressing it on there, I noticed he looked a bit weird for a moment, but you've just got to kind of use your fingers and press it all back into place again once it's on the neck, and make sure there's no weird bumps because it's just such a thin head, you know. It's easy to distort the shape of it when you're putting it back on here. And you've got a nice double bend in the elbow, able to get that really nice bend there. I'm really pretty stunned at the quality of this head sculpt, the likeness. As I was turning, I noticed that because I have widened the head, it's made the ears kind of come out to the sides a bit more, so that's an effect that it's had. I guess you could pretty much call that a negative effect. I need to remind myself now how the Batman Begins ears really should be. Let's take a look at the Medicom, the Enter Bay quarter scale. So that's where they, well, they're pretty damn straight up there. That's the quarter scale Enter Bay, the beast. And back here, yeah, they've definitely, the ears, the direction, well, they're just distorted because of filling out the head. Yeah, well, what are you going to do? There's probably, I could probably just grab that area and just squeeze a little bit, as it's all just filled with blue tack. Yeah, I reckon it's still, oh wait, but now, look at what we're getting here. We're getting a weird bump. Well, it was an interesting little experiment. Okay, we have the Takara Batman Begins figure on the right, which was my first 1/6 scale figure, the figure that started this channel. A lot of history with me in this piece. This is the third one I've owned. The first one I heavily customized. Second one I left in the box as a backup and then eventually had to sell. So then I got this third, hopefully final, Takara Batman Begins in the collection. Although this was quite a recent purchase, and when he turned up, the Bruce Wayne head sculpt was heavily stained, like a purple stain all over the face. And this head sculpt of the Batman here had very, very orange skin. So I had to repaint the mouth area, but obviously it's way too pale. Makes him look very Dracula-esque. So I just need to go in and add some more tones to the mouth area. But you can see the sculpt. I mean, it's really, really good for the time. And one of the best stock capes ever to come with a Batman figure, although this is a custom cape, but there's no reason to change the cape on the Takara Batman Begins. I just did it because I had another one and I felt might as well. But yeah, he is taller than the Medicom one. See, when I turned to the left there to show the Medicom one, it was just night and day, wasn't it? Just maybe it's the way the light's hitting it, but and even with the too pale skin, that just looks awesome. And obviously the way the cape's draping around him, and that slight tilt that he has, that was on purpose, just to give it a little something when you're looking at it. That's the way he is on the shelf. But yeah, in comparison, they do differ a hell of a lot in presence. However, when you turn the Takara to the side, you can see that very obvious separation of the head and neck, two separate pieces, and it shouldn't be that way. To be accurate, it needs to be one piece. Alright, so posability is decent. You're able to move the arms around a fair bit. There's a lot of movement in the neck. The legs move in a very strange way where they connect to the torso. They don't come forward, but they have to kind of, they can come out to the side. But yeah, it's strange how the legs move, but I'm able to do what I need to do with him, and he looks good doing it. So much cape, you're able to do different things with it. This looks pretty cool. Can't really bring it around his shoulders the way I want to, but there's so much of it, you can kind of wrap it around him. creative shenanigans going on here with the cape. That looks pretty cool. Yep, I'm liking that. Don't always have to have the light catching his eyes. Sometimes it's nice to kind of hide the eyes in the shadows. That looks pretty sick. I don't think you can move the gauntlets at all. I think they're possibly, could just be a really tight fit, but when I try to sort of turn the gauntlets, it seems to also twist the elbow material that's underneath the actual armor. But that's okay. I'm having fun. Really, really liking the figure. Well, one of the hands came off, so you are able to remove the gauntlet. It's a bit of a strange design with them. You can see at the back of the gauntlet where it's supposed to end, but it kind of continues a bit, that bit jutting out to the left. So here is the material section. That's all throughout the figure really, I think underneath the armor, but you can see here, yeah, very soft, but it's withstood 15 years, and yeah, it's good stuff. Whatever it is, I don't know. See, it looks right in the crease there in the elbow like that would be doing it harm, but like I said, it's survived all this time of, you know, no damage. Yeah, but that is an interesting material that's underneath this armor. I'll say Medicom certainly know their stuff when it comes to choosing the materials. Their R&D department deserve an award, just in my experience with them. And I think the gauntlets were on the wrong way around, so I've switched them now, and I think that's more accurate. Makes sense because the bit that juts out at the back of the gauntlet is more in line now with the arm structure of it. So before you leave your comments, it's probably way too late for that now. Nothing but comments.
Right, you got your gauntlets on the wrong way around. I think you got your gauntlets on the wrong way around.
I think it does come with a stand. It's not one that I'll be using, but it does come with one. There's a nice front view on that. Tempted to put him back on the shelf like this, but it'll take up way too much space with the cape. So I might just put it back over his shoulders when he's on display and just show off the suit. I think they did a really good job with that. So the head is still stuffed with blue tack. I'll probably leave it like that. Even at this angle, Bale. Just getting nothing but Bale there. It's just pure Bale action. Bailage. Very nice. It's a great looking figure, isn't it? Just looks really good. Even lying down having a nap still impresses me. You'd probably be able to unpeg the cape clips. I'm assuming it's the same system as the Hot Toys figure. And put it in, install a custom cape instead that's much shorter and more movie accurate length. I would be curious to see that, so if I can get that done, that's a video for another time. I am using the wrong base right now, but I'm actually going to dig out the old, well, not old, but the most recent Hot Toys 1/6 scale Batman Begins base. I'm going to dig that out of storage and probably use it on this guy, possibly. Or I may have to, you know, until I do put a shorter cape on him. If I do that, I'll have to display him on something like this, because otherwise the cape just drapes too much, you know, space around him. But I really, really love this piece. If you're a big Batman Begins fan, collector, I would recommend picking this up, because there's so many things to like about it. And there he is on the shelf. I've got to figure out how I'm going to display him, but just so you can see him in contrast with some of the others. That's the latest body and suit by Hot Toys, with Takara Gauntlet's custom cape and an OT Customs head sculpt. Then you've got the Unreal Toys custom head sculpt, custom cape, and Toy Fair exclusive body and suit. It's a very mean looking representation of the beast right there. That's a beautiful thing. Ain't gonna lie to you, it gets me excited. Look at that. Oh my goodness. The others just can't compete. Oh, hello. Hello, Mr. Joker. Look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Now there he is. And it's nice. You can really work with the cape. You're able to drape it nicely. It's still quite thick, but you'd be surprised. You're able to work with the cape quite a bit. And you can see how narrow everything looks, really, compared to, say, something like this. Quite a wide chest, shoulders, compared to this figure from 15 years ago. Definitely has its charms, though. I can really appreciate how hard they tried. Good old Medicom. Putting a lot of thought into their figures. I do appreciate that. Let's have a look at the big chap by Medicom. Check out the review on that piece. Incredibly accurate figure. Alright folks, I'm going to wrap up the review and say a massive thank you again to Jason for such an awesome gift. I absolutely love it, man. Thank you. This is a beautiful piece and a lovely piece of history in 1/6 scale. Considering the age, you know, over 15 years old, I feel like an 8, which is very good. You know, I know I stuffed the head to make it look a bit more accurate to me, but even without that, I would say, considering the time it was released and how good it still looks today, I would definitely give it like an 8 out of 10. Cape is excessively long, but it's a really good cape and you can have some fun with it. If you can just get some kind of, you know, diorama to perch him on, which you can do quite easily these days, then you can make that cape work in your favor. So I am very, very impressed with it. I really love the likeness and the paintwork and the way they put the suit together, the posability and the fun factor and the awe factor when you put it in a cool pose and you just sit back and look at it. I mean, being probably swayed by my love for the film, but I am truly impressed. Another really good figure from Medicom. Let me know what you think in the comments, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again to Jason for sending this my way. I really appreciate it, man. I love it. Alright guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Bye bye.